said to me, it seems like you like me too. We can't take it.
All right, here we are for lunch therapy. It's a great day today because we are going to be discussing wolves. And wolves are a misunderstood animal. It's something that they've been somewhat vilified. A lot like clowns and sharks. And one of the things that we do here on the show is we explore animals and the joys of animals and also the misrepresentations of some of the animals. Today, I'm really lucky to have two activists in the world of animals and wolves. I have Veronique Becka and Francene Amari-Faulkner. Both of them are very active in helping animals, and we're going to talk a lot about wolves and a lot about what they have in store to help save wolves and learn some wolf facts. So we're going to move into this thing right away. This is lunch therapy. We're going to breathe, as we always do at the top of the show.
I'm gonna get myself a modem. 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 I'm gonna get myself a modem.
Hey, I'm looking at something. We're having a problem with YouTube today, but what can you do? What can you do? I'm going to just change something here for people that might be at the YouTube link. I think they are, I don't know. It's not working today, but this is a live show and it can be really weird. I just put a message on there that said go to joelmarshall.com to see the show, and we'll get it up there on Facebook or on YouTube soon. Am I thrown? No, because I know that I can breathe, and we're going to do 3 breaths here. In through the nose, out through the toes. First breath, in through the nose. Holy. Well, maybe I'm just hallucinating because there's Todd Lee. Todd. Holy. Is the YouTube working? I think it might be working, actually. Maybe I'm just freaking out for no apparent reason, but I put a weird message on the YouTube channel. Anyway, it's good to see Todd here. This is Todd's front yard, I believe, at the Moose Lodge. We're going to see some elk walk by. Second breath, in through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Oh, that's what it is. YouTube is not working, and Todd is commenting. Let it out. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it's not working. But we're not going to worry about it. Behind me, I have an elk. He's sneaking up on me here. There's apparently 3 of them that pass by. One of them has an antler that looks a little bit like the antler on the dog in The Grinch. So we'll wait for that. One more, in through the nose, out through the toes. And it's good because the Grinch was terrible to his dog. There's nothing good about that. Let it go. But it's good that I'm mentioning dogs because we're going to understand how we can treat our dogs in a way that is healthy for them with a kind of a dog massage. Anyway, we're going to do that. I'm going to send a message out to the folks there that might be at the YouTube. Form links. No YouTube today. I know this is kind of crazy. All right. So anyway, I'm going to take one more breath. Hopefully whoever might be out there is going to join me. In through the nose, out through the toes. I'm not going to make this a show about YouTube. I'm going to make this a show about wolves. So let it go. And I'm going to show you something, a little video that Francene made. Francene, I'm going to bring her on the show next. She is an animal rights activist, and she's going to give us some wolf facts, and then we're going to find out what she's doing in the realm of wolves. So here we go.
From the time we were little, most of us were told stories like Little Red Riding Hood and all kinds of folklore that taught us to fear wolves and see them as a dangerous animal that will attack and eat us. I'm Francene Amari with an environmental alert report for you and your family. By 1960, the hysteria around wolves was so crazy that wolves were completely wiped out from the lower 48 states, except for the northern part of Minnesota. It was only until after the wolves were gone that people realized the value of what had been lost. And since then, the absence of wolves from our landscape has resulted in all kinds of negative repercussions, like overpopulation of species like elk and deer, erosion of riverbanks, and even the spread of diseases.
We just saw some elk and deer.
After many years of research and a lot of effort, in 1995, wolves were successfully reintroduced to Yellowstone National Park and the Northern Rockies. And since then, scientists have been able to study wolves and their habitat, collecting information that was never before documented. Their findings show how important wolves are, not only to their environment, but to all of ours.
All right. On with the show, Women Who Run with the Wolves. Francene, yay! I usually have applause at this part when I bring the person on. I don't know what's happening, but so great to see you here. Thanks for joining me here on Lunch Therapy. So, how did you get involved in working with animals and wolves and animal rights activism?
Well, in the late 80s, if I can go back that far,
You can.
I was really frustrated by all the environmental news that I kept hearing and was left with, well, okay, well then what do I do with it? You know, so I founded a nonprofit company called Environmental Alert Report. And the goal was to educate the general public about environmental issues, explain what the problem is, how it affects the viewer directly, and most importantly, leave people with what they can do to affect change on that particular issue. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's what started it.
Okay. And then what did you do? A lot of us, we see things about animals and the atrocities that are happening to animals out there and the things that are happening to our wildlife. And we're like, what can we do about that? And what did you do once you were kind of activated?
Well, I think the hardest thing for people is that when we see these things, it's so upsetting that a lot of people just say, I can't take it. I can't watch this. Yeah. But we have to be brave, because by turning a blind eye or not being able to, it's like sticking our heads in the sand, and it allows it to continue. Mm. So that's the great thing about social media now. The information gets out there and it gets around fast. And there are a lot of things people can do right from their homes. So
now I'm distracted by the YouTube thing. For some reason, we're not on YouTube. I don't know if you noticed this, but for some reason it's not happening, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Like I said at the beginning of the show, if anything goes wrong on the show, just ignore it, because that's live. So did you have a channel on YouTube? Is that right?
I do. And that's where I've put my more recent videos. Working on one now on rodenticides. People don't realize how much, you see those bait boxes all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, what happens with, you see them outside buildings, and the rodenticides work their way up the food chain, and they are indiscriminate, and they often affect a large number of animals and people outside of just rodents that people are trying to
Really?
get rid of.
Yeah.
Yes, and we'd do much better to have an owl around. An owl will take out 2,000 mice in a year. Those bait boxes, if the owl eats a rodent that's eaten that poison, it affects the owl and, often kills them. So we got to get rodenticides out of our environment. But that's an aside. I got lots of great stuff to tell you about wolves, too.
Okay, good. Let's get on with that. But there's so many different aspects of how, basically our ecosystem and how we fit into it. Because a lot of times I think as humans, we don't see ourselves as a part of the environment. We don't see ourselves as a part of the ecosystem. We don't see ourselves as animals, basically. So we take ourselves out of it, but then we affect it in such a massive way. And sometimes we don't even realize it. Can you tell me, so one of the things I wanted to ask you about is people apparently hunt wolves for some reason. I don't know why this is. What does it do to the family structure of wolves when people come and kill them, just kind of indiscriminately?
Okay. So the reason people are hunting wolves is because wolves were delisted a few years ago. And so they don't have federal protection anymore, which is why it's up to the states. And it's really about trophy hunting. Wolves have complex family structures. And in the video that you showed, it explains how important the composition of a wolf pack is. Because when somebody shoots a wolf, what happens is it disrupts the dynamic of the pack. And just like in a family, every member is important. Mm-hmm. So if someone takes out one of the leaders of the pack, it's like leaving teenagers without parents. And it's those wolves that often will then disperse and get into trouble. Mm. An interesting thing, like some of the ranchers, you'll say, oh, well, the wolves are taking out our livestock. But what's an interesting thing about wolves is knowledge in a wolf pack is passed from parent to pup. And they've found that wolf packs, it's not necessarily the size of a wolf pack that makes it successful, but it's the packs that have more elder wolves, because the wolves teach the younger pups how to survive. So knowledge is, like I said, knowledge is passed from parent to pup, which is why wolves actually rarely kill livestock. But if parents are killed and the young pack members are left to survive, the likelihood of depredation then increases. And when this happens, then they do things like attack livestock, and then there's a backlash from the ranchers to kill the wolves. And but the good news is there are lots of organizations out there that are working to help ranchers peacefully coexist with predators. So there's lots of stuff happening that's really good. It's really comes down to education.
Do wolves attack people?
They don't. In fact, they shy away from people and can be really hard to find. When I went out to Yellowstone, I don't know, about 4 or 5 years ago, and you literally have to go out there with people who know how to find the packs. You need scopes to be able to see them. You're lucky if you can get within a half mile of one. I mean, it's like you can't even see them, and you need the professionals to point them out in the landscape. A really cool thing about in Maiden Valley in Yellowstone, the canyon pack alphas actually gave up. Now, wolves have territories, okay? And they don't overpopulate. They reproduce solely based on available food and territory. But a really cool thing about the canyon pack was they gave up the eastern section of their territory so their daughter could start her own pack. I mean, they're like people. They're amazing animals.
Wow.
So I thought that was kind of a cool.
Yeah, that's super cool. Do they? Okay, now what about I hear that they actually can affect the geography. Maybe even like change the way rivers go and things like that. I don't quite understand, but yeah.
Yeah, there's some really cool videos on YouTube, which we don't want to talk about YouTube right now. But on how the wolves changed the geography of a region, and what they found is that the reason that happens is when the wolves were taken out, the elk overpopulated.
Yeah.
And so what happens is they were eating all the saplings, especially along riverbanks. So what they found was that when the wolves were brought back, it actually changed the behavior of the elk, and it kept the elk more in control, and it changed the way the elk moved around the park in Yellowstone.
Yeah.
So it allowed for these saplings and other vegetation to take hold, and that's where it started to stabilize the rivers. And it's more complex than that, but it's fantastic. It just goes to show you, I mean, the wolves are a keystone species. They affect so many other ecosystems, and that's why it's so important for us to protect them, allow them to come back and coexist. And that's something people can do, is educate their friends about the facts about wolves and stop all this hysteria around them. Same thing for coyotes. There's so much hatred out there for coyotes.
For coyotes?
Now. And yes, and there's wildlife killing contests all over the country.
You know, and, I played Wile E. Coyote at the Magic Mountain. Have you ever been to Magic Mountain? I was Wile E. Coyote for 3 years. Yeah. And, walk around the park. I was a costume character. And I actually was Bugs Bunny and Wile E. Coyote. And when I was Bugs Bunny, it was kind of smooth sailing. But when I was Wile E. Coyote, people would abuse the crap out of me. They'd pull my tail. They'd push me in the face. They'd punch me because they thought I was indestructible. So I wonder about that, about media and how it affects, our vision of animals. Because they always, in shows that it always has to be a villain. And a lot of times the villain is the coyote or the wolf. I mean, Little Red Riding Hood, there's all kinds of different lore about these. And so do you think that there's something we can do to change that?
Again, I think it's education, because, coyotes have sort of started to take over and grow in population because we wiped out wolves.
Yeah.
If you see a coyote is not going to challenge a wolf.
Yeah.
And you can see that in Yellowstone.
Yeah.
You mentioned your tail as a coyote. A wolf's tail is straight and doesn't curl like a lot of dog breeds.
Oh, really?
So wolves have a straight tail. Yeah, that's just kind of a fun fact.
It's a vulnerability, I'll tell you. All right, I'm gonna bring on Veronique now. Veronique Becka, who has an organization that is being launched to help wolves in the Upper Michigan Peninsula area, and you're very familiar with her as well. And I'm going to bring her here, and then we're going to look at some wolves on YouTube. Believe it or not, on YouTube. Here we go. Hello, yay! I should have some applause or something. But anyway, so it's great to see you, Veronique. So Veronique Becka is here. Did you have any wolf facts that you wanted to throw in while we're talking about wolf facts? Uh-oh. Hold on. I got to get you here. There we go. There you are. I'm sorry. I didn't have any. Yeah, I can hear you now. Tell me if you have any wolf facts for us.
Yeah. Did you guys know that the wolves, at least in the Upper Peninsula, feed off beavers and fish? It had never been observed before. So what they do, just like in the Yellowstone, the whole landscape has been changed because of the reintroduction of the wolves. Yeah. In the Upper Peninsula, there's a lot of wetlands and beavers. And whenever a beaver disperses, meaning he's going to start his own family and build his own dam, they move away, and this is when it's risky and when they get picked up by the wolves. So they found wolves who had eaten about 40 or 50 beavers a year because they track them with collars. Now, so they have that for food year round, and then they also fish, which had never been seen before. So I think we had some videos about it.
Yeah, we've got some. So let's move in there. Let's move into the video portion. This is Jane Goodall, and I'm not going to play it here because I don't know who owns this thing, but and you know, obviously YouTube's very touchy. But this is Jane Goodall, and she's talking about the delisting of the wolf, which is a bad thing. Basically, during this last presidential I don't know, the last 4 years of this president that we will not name on this show, they delisted the wolf, meaning it's been taken off the list. Now, what's the list? What is this a list of? Endangered species?
Yes, it's called the Endangered Species Act. And in fact, it was the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, I think, under President Trump. I guess I tried not to use Trump.
We said it. It's okay. We say it sometimes. Not as much as the rest of the world, but we do. Yes.
Right. So basically, the wolf lost the protection. So about in the 90s, the wolves were almost extinct. In the Michigan Upper Peninsula, there were about 20 wolves.
20?
And they reintroduced, yes, 20. It's a huge area.
Yeah.
And that ecosystem goes all the way up to Canada. And so they reintroduced them, and now they're back to healthier levels, about 600 to 700. But they need the protection because of chronic. Yeah,
that's the area, right? It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's the area. The wolves protect. In fact, they prevent and mitigate all deer species from getting the chronic wasting disease, which is a disease similar to mad cow disease. They still don't know whether people can get it or not, but think about it, the areas where there's most wolves, there's no disease. And then you see the areas where there's no wolves, there's more and more disease. So the idea of shooting all the wolves, you're going to get this chronic wasting disease that might transfer, mutate towards the human population. And what do we do then? So we keep on wanting to manage wildlife, but in fact, the balance is fragile.
We have no idea what we're doing to these animals when we do these things.
Absolutely. You're so
this is a little wolf pup behind you. It's a cute little wolf pup.
Can we hear him?
We can hear him. Let's listen to him. Oh, what is? When do wolves learn how to howl? Is it from when they're tiny? Do you know?
I thought so. When they're tiny.
Seems like it's trying to howl.
I think there's an evolution in the howl from when they're pups to all the way to 1 year. Once a 1 year old, it's pretty stable.
Yeah.
Is that so?
We have a question from the audience. Do wolves eat pumpkins? Does anybody know? Because we've noticed that a lot of animals love pumpkins. So we're going to have to find the answer to that. I don't know, though. They don't seem like pumpkin eaters. Let's see what else we have here. These are wolves. This is like an infrared kind of thing, like at night. These are the same pups, I think. Oh, they're cute.
Yes.
They're so cute. So this is from a channel on YouTube, and it is called let's see, what's it called? Voyager's Wolf Project. And these people are very active in the wolf world. Oh, the little wolves were fighting. Okay.
So basically what they do, it's a small group of of biologists, and they color the wolves, and then they monitor them.
Okay.
And this is how they can see, for example, in this video, you can see a wolf through a summer, how many times it gets injured, but how it heals. It has this fantastic power, healing power.
Oh, really?
So,
So have either of you ever lived with wolves or lived in a wolf area?
No, I haven't. No. Is my mic on?
Yeah, your mic is on. There were two of me there for a second.
No.
No?
I wish I had.
Do people go, go and live in wolf areas and study the wolves? And are these Voyagers, do they do this? Do they live in the wolf area?
So basically, the Voyagers National Park is a national park northern in Minnesota. This is the same ecological area as the wolf sanctuary we are working on making happen. And you can only really be there and study them over the summer because this area gets so much snow that at least 9 to 10 months a year, it's covered by snow with really low temperatures. So they study them mainly a little piece of the spring and the summer.
Okay, now I want to ask you something here. What about wolves eating blueberries? Do either of you know about this?
You want to go? So,
yeah, Veronique, that's you.
Yeah. So the property, the sanctuary we are trying to acquire to protect the wolf and the Upper Peninsula has blueberry patches. I didn't know it when I started the project. I didn't know that they've discovered that wolves, the adults, feed on blueberries, probably for the antioxidants, and then regurgitate them so that their pups would eat them. So it's really neat.
I like to eat blueberries. I hear they're good for your memory. Right? So maybe these wolves have really good memories. Like there's one of the beavers you were talking about.
Yeah. So this is when they're dispersing that it's dangerous for them because that's when the wolves eat them. But this video also talks about how the fact that the wolves eat the beavers keeps the population stable, and thus the wetlands. Because if there would be no more wolves, suddenly all the beavers would go on and building dams, and it would alter the ecology.
How did you get involved in this wolf activism?
I've always loved wolves, and I think anybody who has a dog has something for a wolf. Plus, the wolf is the symbol of freedom. It's an icon, I think, of the U.S. wild. The Native Americans also loved, the wolf was like a brother to them. So there's a whole mystique, I think, about the wolf. They're very intuitive, they're very smart, very sensitive. And just like Francene was saying, they have families that are just like ours. So I've always loved them. But then when the pandemic started, I thought this is my opportunity to do something about it. And then when I heard about the administration delisting the wolf, there was a lot of poaching already. Despite the legal protection, there was a lot of poaching. And then the hunters, when they get caught, they lose their license. And that's that. So it's not like they get a real punishment. And then
Do you know
I need to do
Johnny
something
Appleseed? Do either of you know Johnny Appleseed?
Sure.
So Johnny Appleseed had a pet wolf. It was a legend that he had a pet wolf. Did you know that?
Cool.
Yeah. So when you were talking about Americana and the wolf, definitely a part of Native Americans, and as well as people who like to walk around the woods with a pot on their head. I don't know if you know, but he used to wear like a pan on his head.
Yeah.
Now, do people have pet wolves though? Right?
No, actually, wolves do not make good pets.
They don't make good pets
because they are not trainable. You can't housebreak them, and they actually become kind of very stressed and neurotic for a single wolf. That's one thing people really need to understand. You never want to try to have a wolf as a pet.
Mm-hmm.
But I will. Can I add this?
Yeah, please.
For your musician viewers out there, this is kind of a cool thing. Wolves actually, when they're howling, they change their pitch to achieve harmonic as well as discordant effects. I am not kidding you.
They sing, essentially.
They sing and they adjust their pitches.
There's going to be some singing later on in the show with some adjusted pitches, I believe. But maybe not in a good way. All right, so I'm gonna move on from this part here. This is Voyager's Wolf Project that we've been looking at here, and I'm gonna talk to Veronique about her the launch of this organization that she's doing, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk to Francene, and then we possibly are going to howl ourselves. So stand by. All right. And there's the applause. Finally, like deep into the show, we get some genuine applause. Veronique, it's so great to have you here. I want to hear about this organization, how people can get involved with it. I've got some links in the show notes for people, but let me know what exactly is happening. It's in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and there were 20 wolves, and now what's happening?
Yeah. Thank you. So our project, because we don't know, the Biden administration tried to reverse the delisting and it was not able. So right now, only the governors are able to manage. They will decide the fate of the wolf. So we can't really count on the politicians to make sure this is going to happen. So we are trying to build a community of long-term environmentalists. Sorry, I'm French speaking. So people passionate about the wolf, to create a community in which we acquire in coordination with Michigan Nature Association about up to almost 3,500 territory, and this wolf territory is adjacent to the Simi National Wildlife Refuge. When you hear wildlife refuge, you think, oh, it will be protected. No. People are allowed to hunt.
People hunt in the wildlife refuge? Really?
Yes.
But that doesn't seem like a refuge at all.
Exactly.
How can they even call it a refuge?
So, I ask the same questions. It's very much the economy. What people do up there is hunting.
Yeah.
But wolves, they have their place in this ecosystem. And if we lose them, it's going to be a catastrophe for the deer population. It might even bring disease onto the hunters who eat the deer that might have the mad cow disease, the chronic wasting disease. Basically, we're creating this community of wolf lovers, of wildlife lovers, to acquire with the Michigan Nature Association a big piece of land where wolves can transit through. The wolves cover most of the big areas, but at least in this area, there will be no hunting. And this area is going to be protected in perpetuity. So we created a nonprofit, and no, in the future, nothing can be built. It will not be able to be sold. So in perpetuity, this is going to be protected. And also, it has the advantage that each acre offsets about 40 tons of carbon per acre. So think about per year, 40 tons of carbon per acre per year. And
Wow.
we're speaking of 3,500 acres. So it's also important. So this is a way of helping the wolf create a sanctuary land in perpetuity. There's no cages. It's not a real sanctuary in the sense that wolves are locked into a small territory. It's just a territory, land that is in their wolf territory.
Wow.
So we're looking for people to engage in our group, to be part of our group. If people want to be part of the board, steward this project, this is what we're looking
If
for.
people want to get involved,
For
what do they do? Do they go to your
community-
Facebook page?
Facebook page. If they don't want to do the work themselves and feel comfortable donating $20 or whatever amount they feel comfortable with, there's a Francene's page, web page that you might see there too.
Yeah, it's in
The
the show notes.
environmental alert report. And we're fundraising together, and we're just going to make this happen. We have 1 year to make it happen. In now, beginning of February, we enter into a contract with the owner that gives us 1 year to find the funds. And from this moment on, there's no more hunting there. Nobody can hunt, nobody can log, nobody can enter there. This is pure wildlife territory.
How much do you need to raise?
Right now, we need to raise about $180,000.
$180,000. Okay.
Yeah, but we're speaking of 3,500 acres. It's considerable. I think basically if we have 700 donors that are able to donate $20 a month for 1 year, we're there.
Okay. All right. So yes,
I feel
please
very
go over
confident
there
we
and
can do it.
donate and help out. Also, as Francene was saying, call your Congress people, get them to relist the wolf so that people can't just go out and shoot them. I want to transition here. There's something that you were telling me about that I find very interesting, and it was about massaging your animals. Do animals like massage? I've tried to massage my cat before, but my cat just seems relaxed already. You know, I mean, I always look to my cat for relaxation advice. I don't look to be the one who actually calms my cat down. But you're saying that there is a technique for massaging your animal that's helpful for your animal. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So in fact, I love what you just said, because in fact, when we have a pet, we're connected emotionally. In fact, they're subordinate to our subconscious. It's a bit complicated, but basically it means that whatever we're going through emotionally, they feel it. So we're really connected. Our emotions are really connected. So the technique that I've been doing, I'm not a pro, I'm not a teacher, but I love this technique. It's called Ginseng Jitsu. It's an ancient Japanese living art where people use their hands just to put them on several places on their body, or you can do it on your animal. And the first thing you do, you center yourself, and then depending what you want to work on, let's say your dog or your cat has digestive issues. And then I'm going to go into my book and I'm going to look, what can I do? Okay, I'm going to work on the stomach flow. And then I'll look on the book. So this is This is the, oops.
Oh, the book.
We're going to go
That's a
to
blank.
the other side. Yeah, there's a book and there's a website. Adelia's.
Yeah.
And she has all kind of clothes where you can see what you do, where to put your hands, where, and what effect you will have. And the beauty about this is that you just get comfortable, get centered, do whatever you enjoy doing. You can just breathe and bond with your animal in a way that is going to aid whatever he's going through at the moment.
That's nice. It's sort of like, Tai Chi or acupressure or acupuncture. You know how it
Same thing.
opens up channels. All right, we're going to watch this video that you so graciously made for us to watch of you giving this technique to your dog. So here we go.
Tina, she's ready for some Ginseng Jitsu. Before I can start, I have to center myself. And the way I do that is by holding my thumb like this, no tightness, and taking 3 deep breaths. When I've taken the 3 deep breaths, 3 conscious breaths, and I'm going to do the same thing for the 10 fingers. When I'm done, I'm centered. And I can center her. I take my right hand and I put it between her shoulders. And my left hand on her chest between her front legs. And here I breathe. And by putting my hands in this position, I'm helping her harmonize her energy. So this is pure energy work. I'm not doing anything. I'm just breathing and enjoying being with her, enjoying breathing deeply and consciously. And you start hearing gurgles in the tummy, and you feel that the energy is flowing. Enjoy.
All right. We're both back. That is cool. So you can get that book and you can learn this technique. I love it.
Absolutely. So you have the website for Adelia's.
I went to that website and it wasn't working. Similar to YouTube today. Yes. Maybe it's a weird technical thing in the universe.
It will be on Friday. She was just changing it, upgrading it. So
we'll put a link in the show notes because this show will go on beyond today's weird technical world. Maybe it's one of those things like the Mercury is in retrograde or something like that. I don't know. That's what people always say. So links in the show note of how you can get involved in the project in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Francene, are you going to make a podcast yourself? Because you were telling me that possibly you're making a podcast also.
I'm working on a podcast on another issue, but my videos are available on the website. But can I just make one last plug to leave with people?
Yeah.
So if people want to help wolves, something you can do besides helping Veronique's project is you can just call your representatives and tell them you want federal protections for wolves. Super easy thing you can do. Yeah. And you can also get the Fish and Wildlife Service on board as well. But just call your reps and just say, we got to have federal protections for wolves. That would be just a great, easy thing people can do.
That's good. Okay.
And remember, my motto, there is no wild, we're all the same.
There is no wild, we're all the same. We're all wild. Right?
Yeah. We're all the same.
All right. Because we're all wild and we're all the same, I would like to end this with a howl. So on the count of 3, if you're all comfortable with it, we're going to give it our best howl. And then we're just going to go right on into the dance break. So thank you both for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And sorry for the technical glitch, but you can blame YouTube for that, a huge conglomerate. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I should do that in the future. Maybe I should howl at the beginning of every show or at the end of every show. I feel good from that howling. At the beginning of the show, I was quite upset about the whole YouTube fiasco, but that's just life out there on the internet, doing live shows. I really feel fortunate to have both of them here on the show today, and hopefully we'll share this around on Facebook. Thanks, Todd Lee, for finding us. He went all the way to Twitch to find us. Very disturbing. But I'm going to hold my thumb now, too, when I breathe. That's a new technique to center yourself, which is super cool, and I really appreciate that, too. You hold your thumb, and then you do the 3 breaths, so something we never did on our show. Now, I'm going to take us out on the dance break. Yes, it's going to be me. I'm going to be singing a song that a lot of you know. On Friday, we're going to have Marty Croft from Sid and Marty Croft. He's going to be on the show to explain some of the lore, some of the mythology around the world of Sid and Marty Croft. All right, so here we go. Dance break time. Okay, I'm doing the dance break today. It is a song that's very dear to my heart. Something we grew up with, something we sang a lot when we were younger. Don't sing it as much anymore, but sing along if you want, dance along. It's the dance break. Ladies and gentlemen. Dark in the city, night is a wire. Stream in the subway, earth is a fire. Do 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 do. Woman, you want me? Give me a sign. Catch my breathing even closer behind. Do 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 do. In touch with the ground, I'm on the hunt. I'm after you. I smell like I sound. I'm lost in a crowd, and I'm hungry like the wolf. Straddle the line, discord and rhyme. I'm on the hunt down after you. A mouth is alive with juices like wine, and I'm hungry like the wolf. Hungry like the wolf. Hungry like the wolf. Hungry like the wolf. I'll see you on Friday for an interview with Marty Croft and more lunch therapy.